right. Well, ready for Megan?
Ready for Megan.
Ready for Megan. All right, everybody. Welcome to the Cine-Scoots podcast.
Yeah.
Our second Sunday recording.
What a productive Sunday, and it's only 6:00.
It is only 6:00.
Yeah.
Buddy, what a week.
What a week.
It's been both like the most unproductive week.
I have watched so much C-SPAN.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you were
Yeah.
watching a lot of C-SPAN because this was the week where Kevin McCarthy was unable to secure the speakership for 15 ballots.
15 ballots, but he got it.
He got it.
He got it.
God damn, though.
So tomorrow's the first day of school
Oh.
for me, and I have more Sunday scaries by now. I don't have any Sunday scaries, but I could use another
week, another month,
week or month,
dude,
or a year of decade of breaks.
I feel like it's gotten to the point where it's not even Sunday scaries. It's just like Sundays. I don't want to go back to work on
Who
Monday.
the fuck wants to work?
I know this is very like unmanly of me, and I think in a way it's also very progressive of me.
Yeah.
If Katie could support me and I become a house husband,
you'd be Mr.
Wife. I would be Mr. Wife
Yeah.
in the heartbeat.
Yeah.
That's our plan. She wants to go and take over a company. I will stay home and vacuum, cook,
Right.
sweep.
My dad was a Mr. Mom.
Good.
Yeah.
The way it should be.
The way it should be.
The way it should be. So we're here to talk about M3GAN, the first movie of 2023.
What a beautiful surprise.
Dude, I'm so happy. I'm so happy that this movie not only was extremely hyped, but that the hype didn't let me down.
No.
Dude, like there's no worse feeling than going into a movie that you're super hyped about and then having it suck.
Which we had with Thor last year.
We had it with Thor last year.
Example.
That is probably the biggest
Yeah.
like blockbuster example. Halloween Kills.
In another, I would say, what was the second Halloween?
That's Halloween Kills.
Okay, yes, Halloween Kills.
Halloween
Yes.
Kills is a movie that I was extremely excited about after the 2018 reboot.
Yeah, and then you just feel like
And
somebody
then-
pumped.
Oh,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, that one was bad. But M3GAN did not let us down.
No, and Megan we talked in our last episode about just like me seeing things on screen in the form of trailers. I'm like, what the fuck is this? And that was Megan. Like when you see that little doll doing her dance,
Doing her
you're like,
dance?
what the fuck is this?
Yeah. So, all right. So, M3GAN, for anyone who is unaware, is our newest killer doll.
Great killer doll. My favorite killer doll.
You know, I love. Here's the funny thing about Chucky. Chucky used to be the slasher that scared me the most as a kid.
Yes.
Growing up, yes, Freddy scared me.
Yeah.
I was never really scared of Jason. I was never really scared of Michael Myers.
Yeah.
But Chucky
scared you.
Chucky, I had a great fear for Chucky, mainly
Really?
because my grandma in Mexico, whenever we would stay at her house, she just had dolls on dolls on dolls on dolls around her bedroom.
Yeah.
And that's where we would sleep because she had a spare bed in her bedroom. And holy shit, anytime Chucky came up, I'd be like, nope, no gracias. And I haven't gotten to like actually appreciate Chucky until like the last 10 years, maybe. And so now Chucky holds a very dear place in my heart. But M3GAN in one single movie may have managed to usurp Chucky.
Dang, impressive.
But that's also because she's like instantly iconic, I think.
Yes.
Like she just has a look.
Movement. She has a look.
The costume that she's got on is like instantly recognizable. Like the marketing for the movie has been like top notch.
And it's interesting because there are certain people who their critiques, they're like, this movie could have been crazier. And that was one of my instincts leaving the movie, but there are certain hilarious moments that we can get into later.
Of course.
That happened in this movie, and I just walked out of them being like, I could not have predicted that. I could not have predicted M3GAN would sing. That's right. And you know what? That's good enough for me. I think this movie was just as crazy as it needed to be.
Yeah, and so just to kind of go into some details, the movie stars Allison Williams, Violet McGraw, which, by the way, I do feel somewhat vindicated. During the movie, I asked you, I'm like, is that the girl from the Black Phone? And you were like, no, I don't think so. And I was like, she looks very similar. It's her sister.
Oh, like it's the actress's
The
sister.
actress, yeah,
Fascinating.
fascinating.
That is fascinating, actually.
Good family
Yeah,
for kid
they
actors.
got that Blumhouse money.
Holy shit! And yeah, that
Yeah.
Blumhouse money and good acting
Yeah.
from the kids. Um, but the movie is made by Blumhouse. It is the first Blumhouse movie of the year.
Mhm.
They're having two Blumhouse movies in January this year.
The Peacock one.
The Peacock one, which I'm hearing okay things
Hmm.
about it,
Hmm.
but you never know.
Right.
Who knows, right? The whole idea behind Megan, though, I find fascinating because it's very similar to the 2019 Chucky movie that came out.
Which I did not see.
I didn't see either. I really didn't have a lot of interest. The biggest draw for me in that movie was that Aubrey Plaza plays the mom.
Was that movie a reboot?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it was a reboot in where Chucky is not possessed by a serial killer. He is like an AI, very similar to Megan,
Oh, I
where
see.
he wants to protect Andy.
Huh.
Um, so like anytime like anyone hurts Andy,
Like Chucky gets
like
mad.
Chucky gets mad and
Yeah.
kills people, right? There is one very funny quote where they like teach kids like the kids teach Chucky to stab, and he says this one's for Tupac. It's really fucking funny. So it's very similar, and we did have a conversation on the ride home where I said a lot of the times people complain when movies are rebooted,
Mhm.
and they say,
Why not just make
why not
similar
just
concept?
make a similar concept,
Right.
but make it an original movie with like similar elements? And I feel like this movie is that. This movie does child's play.
And it succeeds.
It successfully does it in the 21st century,
Mm.
because we're dealing with kids being on their tablets all the time, parents co-parenting with electronics.
And as someone who's never seen a Child's Play movie, I would say probably deeper than every Child's Play movie.
Um,
I never
Probably.
associated that franchise with depth. And why? Because all the kids in the lower reading class in middle school loved them. Loved them some Chucky.
Yeah. I would say maybe getting into like the movie, you start getting some more into the show. Sorry,
Hmm.
you get into more like deeper character stuff.
Hmm.
And maybe even the mid 2010s reboot series.
There's some.
It's not a reboot. It's like a continuation, but like it's like a soft reboot of the franchise, like new characters, but then you still introduce like the
Let's
older
get a son
characters.
or a
Yeah.
daughter. Yeah. They
Shit
bang.
face.
They bang, right?
Yeah, they
Yeah.
bang in the Bride of Chucky. She gets pregnant.
That's crazy.
It's insane. You get
Yeah.
to see some
Yeah. I don't want to.
doll
I don't
movies,
want to know. I don't want to know.
but
Yeah.
you know, I'm not gonna say
The power of technology.
the power of technology and curses.
And curses. Curses are a
Um,
thing.
but yeah, so Megan, I love this movie.
Hmm.
I was very positive on it. I don't know that it needed to be anything else. Maybe a little shorter in some portions of
I
it,
never felt.
but I don't think I could cut anything
I don't know what I would say. Maybe the last fight could be cut a little bit, but
a
that's
little bit.
that's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good use of like a mix between like an actor and like a puppet
Yeah.
for Megan, because there are some times where like she's moving very realistically, and then there's like a little where you're like, oh, that's a robot.
The uncanny valley is real, but in the most effective way.
And I think this movie is successful because of that,
Mhm.
right? Like you need that uncanny valleyness to make this weird and to make it work. There's one non-spoiler scene where they're going to like a day camp,
Right.
and Megan, who is a life-size doll, is sitting on the passenger side, and the little girl is talking to the counselor, and she's like, "Oh, well, nice to meet you. And who's your friend?" She goes, "Oh my Jesus!" And it's so good because it does take you a second to realize this is not
Right.
a real
A real
person.
person.
This
Yeah.
is a fucking robot.
Yeah. And the hold on, what's her name? Yeah, Gemma. Stupid name. That's my flaw. Her name's Gemma.
Gemma.
Um, like it's not because I mean this is a prototype, right? So it's
Yes.
not like breaking news that she has this like hyper sentient AI doll,
No, yeah,
right?
right. It's like a
So
brand new thing that they're kind of working underground.
yeah, that's one thing I kind of had to get used to is most like other characters in this movie have no clue um that Megan is a toy until they get
Yeah,
a better
until you tell them like, no, she is a prototype.
yeah,
She's going to work with me or
yeah,
whatever, right? Which I think is also for the better,
yes.
right? I think because then this can then lead to sequels where she does become, you know, more widely available, and then we're probably gonna end up, for better or worse, with an army of Megans
And I
by
say
the end of the 2020s.
I say this now and I'm ready to be proven wrong. I say this now, but I really don't want a sequel
You're
to
in,
this
you're in the wrong business,
movie.
my friend.
I know, I know. But like it certainly is set up for a sequel.
Yeah.
Look, I'd like to see, and I mean, tech can move very fast, so maybe like there will be enough happening in AI where there's a cool angle this movie could take. But I would like to see a sequel to this movie take place after a bit more actual technological change
Okay.
in the real world, where it can handle something substantive. But anyway,
Yeah.
heart,
So
heart before the heart
car
before
before horse,
cart before the horse.
right?
Yeah.
So I would say let's go ahead and move on to some of the more in-depth things. Before
Spoilers.
spoilers, I would highly suggest going to see this movie
For
for sure.
sure.
It's a
I'm
lot.
sure.
I would say don't go into this movie expecting scary.
It's January. What else are you gonna see?
That too.
Yeah.
But go into this movie expecting to have fun.
You're gonna have a lot of fun in this
And
movie.
honestly, I think if you go see this movie with a bigger crowd, it's the better for it.
This is the so we saw Glass Onion, we saw Avatar, we
Hmm.
saw this. Um
With like
definitely
big crowds.
yeah, definitely this and Glass Onion were like my favorite crowds.
Yeah,
I mean
because
Avatar was
people were
packed.
having fun.
Yeah, Avatar was
But
packed.
nobody was like, people were like, enthralled in the movie, but they weren't like interacting
Yeah,
during
or
Avatar.
yeah.
In this movie, I feel like people were like, "Oh no, not the dog!"
Yeah.
Or
There's a moment of the crowd that I want to touch on later. But
but I think yeah, this movie is a lot more fun with a big theater crowd. Like we said, it's January. Like this and Avatar,
yeah.
there's really nothing else going on right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, go see
Don't
it.
wait home.
Big recommendation, I think, from both of us.
Yes.
So let's get into some spoilers. Um, right away, the opening scene for this I think is fantastic, where you start with the commercial for what's it called? The
And
per
it's a Furby,
it's a Furby, but
right?
it's got a funny
I
name.
don't remember what it's called, but it's Aunt Gemma makes these, right?
Yeah, Gemma is the one who like develops it. She's like a super smart like robotics engineer.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know that I would say she's like spectrum level,
No,
but she's like insanely like smart in her field.
she is a millennial, as
Yeah.
are many people in this film.
Oh, this movie hits us so
Yeah, it
hard.
does, and I loved it.
So
And I'm
Tana,
team millennial. I am team millennial.
100%. I
Yeah,
love me my
I do love you, my
millennials.
millennials, but I can take a good millennial critique because we are not snowflakes.
But here's the thing. I think this movie does a good job at I said to like hold that mirror up to you
Hmm.
without using like the cheap avocado toast
No,
like thing. This movie does a good job.
and it attacks so many different kinds of millennials.
Yes, so this movie for sure attacks like the tablet parent millennial.
Yeah,
For sure.
it ma-
It like the nerd millennial,
the nerd millennial, the ambitious CEO millennial,
the ambitious CEO millennial, the
right?
ambitious no kid
The
millennial.
ambitious no kid millennial, the
Yeah.
the incompetent with any sort of like handsy technology millennial. That's actually where I first like saw it with the parents. So it ends with a parent death, which the trailer doesn't tell you how they die, but it tells you that your parents are dead, right?
Yeah, it tells you that the parents are dead.
Yeah.
You know they died. with something.
with
You're not
something.
really sure with what.
So they die in a car crash,
They die in a car crash
which
because
is
they're
cliche, but the way it goes about, I feel, is hilarious because they're driving to some sort of
yeah, they're going skiing.
skiing, right? They rented a car. The dad didn't know what all-wheel drive.
No, he's like I tell you, we should have gotten chains for the car.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
like, I didn't even know what chains were until 10 minutes ago.
Yes,
Which,
but they do say something about four-wheel drive. And he's like,
oh,
oh, this
maybe.
was four-wheel drive because it had four wheels or some shit. And I was like, oh, I feel so attacked.
This is the type of shit. This is the type of shit that a lot of people don't think about unless like you learn from your mom or dad.
Right?
I learned this shit from my dad
Yeah.
because my dad owns a tire shop. But
And all the while, this girl's like breaking her screen time rule, and like the parents like
yeah,
they
the
realize
whole
it.
screen time thing.
Yeah, they realize it, but the dad's like, ah, fuck it, like we're in the snowstorm.
Like, what the fuck else is she gonna do? She's sitting in the
Yeah.
backseat of this
So she's
car.
playing with Furby on her iPad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then the little Furby like those things are hideous, dude.
So ugly.
Dude, but to be fair, Furbies were also nightmare fuel.
They were nightmare fuel.
These things have like these weird, like huge mouth with like you can see the whole teeth.
A strange face.
A very strange face. But here's the thing: if you watch some of the things that like kids are into nowadays,
They're ugly.
oh my god! Like there are kids that show up to my school. I teach fifth graders, and they show up with these like Poppy Playtime shirts, and these are like I don't know if you want to look it up, but Poppy Playtime they have these weird like
POPPY.
blue monster
Mm-hmm.
with like these like sharp ass teeth. Like it's a scary looking thing.
I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah,
What?
it's
If your kids are fifth graders, what year were they? Oh, Jesus Christ.
yeah. Holy shit.
What the fuck? Yeah. What year? Your kids are fifth graders, so they're 11?
They'd be about 11,
So
so not
20,
much older than Katie.
2009, 2000, oh no,
They're like 2010.
2010. Yeah. 2011.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
And so like I can totally buy these kids being into these ugly ass fucking dolls. And it also reminds me of that scene in Ant-Man where he gives her like a toy and it's fucking disgusting. And she goes, "Oh my God, it's
Yes.
so ugly. I love him."
Yeah.
I get it.
When is her main character?
Gemma?
No. When is
Katie?
Katie supposed to be? How old is she supposed to be?
I would say she's probably like around 8 or 9.
So she is, as your kids are. I looked this up. I googled when does Gen Alpha start. So Gen Alpha is kids born in 2010 through 2024.
Yeah, no, she is for
She's Gen
sure.
Alpha.
Yeah, she would be one of my third graders.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you do feel bad for this girl because
Yeah,
she,
dead parents.
yeah, she had bad parents for sure.
Dad parents.
Oh, I think it's a
I didn't
bad
say
parent.
bad parents.
Oh, okay.
Dad parents.
I was like, yeah, they
Yeah,
might be a little bad.
they're just millennials.
Fair. But yeah, so she loses her parents and then she's
They
with her
were just
aunt.
millennials.
They were. And now she's with her aunt, who, if we're being honest, could probably care less about the kid itself.
Yes. And in fact, okay, so here's actually my big critique of this movie, which I don't want to spend a lot of time on, but I bring this up because
Sure.
it's relevant to your point. There's a point where she has a heart-to-heart speech with Katie towards the end-ish.
Towards the end, yeah.
That's like good parenting. And I'm like, this competence in parenting just came out of nowhere.
And here's the thing, though. I feel like I don't want to say it came out of nowhere because I do feel like she's smart enough to know that this is what a good parent would say.
But her delivery and her proficiency in delivering,
Fair.
yes, came out of nowhere. But it's
Fair.
a Blumhouse movie, so it's already hitting well above its like.
Yeah, above its belt weight.
Yes.
But yeah, so she ends up taking care of Gemma ends up taking care of Katie. She's like her guardian, right? Next in line.
Next of kin.
Next of kin. There is a mention of apparently like the
Grandparents.
in-laws, right? Being willing to take the kid,
Yes.
but they're kind of like willing to like circumvent the process and going above Katie, not Katie, above Gemma. So that kind of pisses her off.
Mm-hmm.
Which again, I think that kind of goes with the millennial thing of like, oh, these fucking boomers seem to know better than me.
Well, that and it's also even though this isn't what she wanted. I mean, she does give the kid presents, right? So like, parenthood wasn't what she wanted, but there's still an element of like child nurturing in there, even if it's presents from her own company that she worked for.
Yes.
But B, I also think there's like not just like the boomer thing, but like I think that could potentially show that A, she is worried about this child's like psychological well being because like, oh man, this girl just lost her parents, right? She just got relocated to me, and now you're gonna relocate her like
All the way to fucking
again?
Texas or
Yeah,
Florida, right? I think it
right.
says.
And the film granted never really like confirms any like of her reasoning as to why she'd be apprehensive. But on paper, at least, it may have been like the easier option.
I would say so.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's always, I would say, a little weird when like you have a kid who's like caregivers for like the grandparents.
Yeah.
There's always like such a big generational gap. I feel like your aunt might be more willing to like discipline than like the grandparent would be. Maybe.
I don't know about
I don't
that.
know. But it's also like she's well off,
Hmm.
right? I mean, she's probably making these money being like the main
The main creative mind.
creator, like
Yeah.
the main creative in this company. So, probably for financial, support for the kid, probably a better choice. And younger,
And younger.
right?
Yeah.
You don't want the kid having to then end up taking care of these old grandparents.
This is her also last connection to her sister, right?
That too.
What we realized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no mention of their parents at all.
Nope.
So yeah, we're led to believe that that's kind of where that line ends,
Yeah.
for connection. Um, and this is actually where we have our first and only like jump scare, right? They arrive in this awful car, which by the way is one of my least favorite electric vehicles. It's
The
this disgusting looking BMW that only gets like
Mhm.
60 miles to a charge. It's awful. But yeah, we have a dog jump scare.
Yeah.
And to be fair, yeah, there's a hole on the fence. But yeah, lady, you gotta leash your fucking dog.
So this is what I think this movie did that is actually super impressive.
Uh,
And I might be speaking sacrilege. So millions of listeners, I apologize. But this movie killed a dog, and it made me leave with like, yeah, maybe that dog deserved it. Like, okay,
yeah,
that's far. Like, did the dog deserve it? No. But like all the dogs that I've seen that have died in movies, I've always been like, no.
yeah.
Whereas this one, I'm like,
I can
if a
see
dog,
why.
if
I
a
can see why
yeah,
Megan.
if a dog has to die,
Yeah.
it's this dog.
Uh, so let's get back. Before we do,
Yeah.
there is that scene where we talk about where they do kind of dunk on the boy collecting millennials,
Oh yeah, the
right?
theater. I love this moment.
So yeah, so Katie gets home and she starts to like wanting to play with toys because she's a fucking kid.
Oh, she spells her name Cady.
DY, yeah, CADY.
No, millennials strike again. Their stupid ass name ain't okay.
So yeah, so she wants to play with these toys, and Gemma's like, no, 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 those are not toys.
Those are
They're
collectibles.
collectibles. They're supposed to stay in the shelf, and you look at them.
Yeah,
That's fun.
yeah.
And Katie's like, oh, I just want to play. Okay. And so then later the psychologist shows up to see if the kid's adjusting well. And Gemma is like, oh yeah, we have some toys over there. She's like, yeah, but she wants to play with this. She's like, okay, fine.
Yeah.
He starts ripping into this toy.
And the theater was like
Swerved.
square. And I looked at them and I judged the shit out of them.
Because
Like,
you actually play with your like
I think toys are meant to be played with. I don't. I take them out of their packaging about once a year. I'll set them up because I think it's fun and cathartic. I have a lot of Star Wars action figures, to the millions of fans at home, and they're
fair.
they're in a cabinet. They're all taken out. I enjoy setting them up. But even
You
as a
you will set
kid,
up like battlefields.
yeah, but even as a kid, I was like, toys are meant to be played with,
Yeah.
right? And I heard people actually squirm and cringe like they would actually if an animal died in a movie. To be honest with you, yeah. And I was like,
More
dang.
reactions to this box being ripped open than the
That
dog being
dog.
killed.
And I have never seen that before in an audience, and I may never see that again. Like,
I want to say the last time that really was a plot point was in one of I think it was in the 40-year-old version,
Wow.
where he has like a
That's
collection of
telling.
like,
Yeah.
yeah. Listen, as a fellow collector of anime figures,
Hmm.
because like my anime figures are not like postable, like they just come
In the one
in the
post. You
one
got me
post.
one. Yeah.
So like you can't really play with them. Like
Right.
these are actually meant to be like
Played with.
displayed.
Yeah.
They're not toys
They're
necessarily. They're
figurines.
figurines,
Do you
but
keep yours in the package?
no, I usually
Yeah.
take them out of the box. I keep
Yeah.
the box and like if I want to move them
Right.
or if I want to store them, but because they come with like a display and then I have them in a display case like by my computer in the
Yeah.
basement. Um, but like that's their purpose.
Hmm.
These toys that Gemma's collecting are
It's like
toys.
a Rubik's Cube. Not an actual
One of
Rubik's
them is
Cube.
like a Rubik's cube. The one that she plays with that she rips open is like a weird ball that I'm assuming would transform into like a robot
Yeah.
because the psychologist is like, all right, roll the ball over to your aunt Gemma, and she's like, oh, actually, you're supposed to be, pushing this
Right.
button to like
Yeah.
transform it. She's like, what if she just wants to roll the fucking ball? So it's a whole level of cringe,
Yeah.
which is very good. Eventually, she does kind of get the idea that maybe Katie could benefit from having Megan.
Yes.
And
Because Katie is fascinated by Chekhov's Bruce.
Chekhov's Bruce, right?
Right.
A big giant robot that she built in college,
Hmm.
right? And so then Megan, Gemma's like, "Yep, let's go ahead and build Megan
With the Nintendo gloves.
with the Nintendo Power
Yeah.
Gloves, right?" And as soon as Bruce showed up, I was like, "Ah, Bruce gonna save the day,"
Hmm.
and he does, and it's pretty spectacular.
Yeah.
And so we end up having a bunch of like bonding scenes. They present this to the board later on in the movie, which was a really funny scene
Oh yeah.
of how Megan can be like
Where she is the therapy doll,
she's the
basically.
therapy doll.
Yeah.
She's the parent doll,
Yeah.
and that is brought up multiple times by Tess, who's like her friend who works with her in the same department. She said, like, you're not just building a companion, you're building a replacement for a lot of like parental things, right? The fact that she's there to remember her parents for her instead of you being the one to help her through
Hmm.
the grieving process, which
Is troubling.
very troubling.
Yeah.
And she doesn't seem to notice, like, well, not necessarily notice, she doesn't seem to like see that as a big deal.
It's
She's like,
interesting.
we'll figure it out later.
So okay, in educational technology,
Hmm.
or in educational terms, there's like, I forget what they call it, fucking like 4 domains of technology. I don't remember what like they all are. But like, let's say number 3 is that the technology just replaces, um, whatever like you can do on non-technology. So like a word processor replaces um, a notebook, right? But then domain 4 is like the technology allows you to do new things that you wouldn't have been able to do without the technology,
Hmm.
right? So you can now create videos instead of essays, right?
Sure.
The and like going in when a lot of this like research was being done in the educational field, people were like very, very optimistic about those possibilities. But
Hmm.
they weren't paying a lot of attention to like how then the technology would change the student. And what I think what this video does illustrate very well, that it is very
On the nose?
boop, boop, on the nose.
Yeah?
T-shirt idea. The this Megan changes
Katie?
Katie.
Yeah?
Yeah,
She becomes like codependent on her.
codependent and even
Uh,
scarier than Megan. Like
so yeah, she fucking like
angry.
pulls scissors
Yeah,
on the psychologist, right?
yeah.
And fucking Gemma has to
She's
intervene.
screaming all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fucking wild. Um, but let's backtrack a little bit. So we have Megan joining the family, and this is where we start to get into the dog because she's like watching them out the window as not Megan, as Katie's like playing with like a little bow and arrow.
Right.
She's like, I'm going to avenge my mom and dad, and she's like, play pretend, which goes away.
Mhm.
right? Before this is as she's like kind of getting used to Megan, she's still playing pretend.
Right.
Whereas like towards the end of the movie, she is just playing with
With
Megan.
Megan.
She's just having conversations with Megan. And she's like, "Hey, I lost my arrow. Where's my arrow?" And Megan does find the arrow under the hole in the fence, and she goes to dig. She goes to like reach for the thing, and the dog just ravages her. And we
Yeah.
get one of the funniest fucking like images of Megan with like her hair all messed up.
Which would have been so would Megan have been because earlier it tells us that if this little chip is fucked up, something happens, right? So it's inferred that the dog fucked up the chip.
Yes, I think this is like the inciting incident for Megan, kind of
Yeah.
like starting to kind of just go a little bit above.
So would she have gone bonkers without the dog attack?
I don't think so.
Hmm.
I don't think so. I think because they make a very like they make a big point of like the sparking when the dog bites the neck.
As being like, yeah.
Yeah, and then like that's kind of when she switches to like, oh, we're
To
gonna yeah,
die.
because then as Katie goes to help Megan, then the dog bites Katie.
Does Megan learn what death is before that scene?
I think they're having I think she has a conversation
Yeah,
with Gemma
about death.
about death.
Right.
No, she overhears the conversation between
But
the
whatever it is,
people.
whatever that happens, there is a scene where like the movie makes a point that she does not comprehend death and she's learning
Yeah,
what
what it
death
is.
is.
Yeah. 'Cause she like then goes like, oh, let's check this shit off online,
Yeah,
and she learns through the internet,
yeah,
right? So yeah, she kills the dog.
right.
Uh, I would say as far as the movie goes, tastefully.
Yeah, I can't remember how she kills it. It's
She
all off
just she
screen.
just grabs the dog.
Yeah,
She like she like moves her hand into the frame and she drops treats.
I think actually one thing that this film actually does very well in the suspense and horror department in its ability to build suspense and fear of the potential what Megan can do. It's that she has the superpower, quote unquote, that she can mimic any voice perfectly. And because she already looks like goofy and cheesy, it's not it is funny that she can do it, but it's not like universe breaking when you see her talking like her neighbor.
And I think
Yeah,
if you listen closely, there is a little
little
robotiness
yeah
to the
to the
voice.
voice.
So you could potentially
Differentiate.
differentiate like it's Megan talking versus it's the actual person. But
But then that
in
just adds to the possibility.
exactly
Well, yeah,
in the world, like if you just hear this, you might just be like, oh, okay,
yeah.
it's my owner.
Because she commandeers later on, she commandeers the phone and she's talking,
Yes,
and
she's talking
yeah,
as a friend.
yeah,
Which honestly I didn't it didn't register
catch right away.
right away until like you're like watching the scene, which I think is pretty good.
Right.
Makes sense, especially because like over the phone things sound like shit already.
Yeah.
So it's easier to hide that.
Yeah.
Uh, Famously, Scream 3 has like a fucking like MacGuffin thing where like the killer can mimic anyone's voice like perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
They have a little voice changer
Mm-hmm.
and like it just sounds like them, like someone's talking, and they're like, well, if someone is talking and they're like in the like just on the other side of the door,
Right.
you would still hear the other person's voice coming out of their mouth, going into this device, and then coming out as another voice.
Right.
It wouldn't just automatically turn your
Yeah.
voice coming out of your mouth
Into that.
into that. And I feel like this works well for Megan because it still has that roboticness to it.
And this came out. I mean, this and Glass Onion, perfect timing because this came out right after all this like Chat GPT stuff. Where I mean, you have AI that's as best as we've seen so far replicating human style,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
So
So yeah,
good on the
and
movie.
good on the movie. Megan does kind of go a little crazy when she goes to um, the summer camp program thing with the
The
kids.
school in quotation
The
marks.
school, right? Because
Another millennial thing.
millennial thing.
Yeah.
OG mom,
OG mom.
Katie's mom wanted to
Homeschool the
homeschool
daughter.
Katie, and you know, Jen was like, "What the fuck?"
I got from the little shit kid, the little shit boy, his mom, who is
Holly,
yeah.
just shut the fuck up, Holly.
My God. like women's march vibe from her outfit.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's got like the pink hat.
Yeah,
Uh, again, this movie just knows where how to hit
it
us
does.
very well,
But that brings
and
me to the point of all the people who die in this movie, I don't think there was a character where I was
they
like,
don't deserve it.
yeah,
Yeah, no, everybody in this movie who dies, I think, has it coming because he's an asshole.
he's an asshole.
Uh, he originally this boy gets
If he was in the whale,
he would be his closure. And yeah, because like he originally gets picked with another kid. The kid whispers something
to the teacher,
the teacher, and the teacher goes, "No, okay, fine. Let's partner you with Katie."
right?
And Katie just wants to pick her little walnuts,
Yeah,
and this boy is like hurts her,
right.
and that triggers Megan.
And is potentially about to like rape the doll. It doesn't like
Okay,
confirm.
I'm not the only one who got
Yeah.
those vibes because he like straddles the doll
Yes.
and like takes off her shoe, which I'm like, that's weird.
Yeah.
But then instead of like taking off clothes, he like punches the doll in the face.
Right. It's PG-13.
PG-13. You can only go. Maybe if it
Right.
was R, I think he would have
Well, even still, kind of fucked up to have a boy do that. But like,
for sure. Um,
there's sexual
there's some,
innuendo.
yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, but Megan like catches his arm on the second hit
Yeah.
and like rips this fucking kid's ear off. And she's like, I'm gonna teach you some fucking manners.
Yeah.
And rips the ear off, throws it, and like has the kid run. And I will say this, this is the hill I'll die on.
Doesn't kill him.
She does not kill him. Megan did nothing wrong.
Right.
This kid had it coming.
Mm-hmm.
And so this leads us to probably the best scene where Katie is in bed and talking to Megan, and she's like, "Hey, Megan, did you kill the boy?" And she's like, "Well, here's titanium."
So that's the second song that she sings, right?
It's the second song she sings.
Yeah.
The first song she sings, I want to say it's in like the conference room where like she's meeting Megan.
And it definitely sounds much more like Disney princessy or
Yes.
like the fucking
The first time?
yeah, like it seems more like Magic Barbie unicorn vibe. And then the second song is Titanium.
The second song is
And
Titanium.
that's where I was mentioning earlier where people are like, this movie didn't go crazy enough. And I'm like, fair,
This is
but
fucking
when
insane.
did you have Megan singing Titanium?
And all the things that I could have put in like a Megan bingo,
Yeah.
her singing Titanium
Would not have
would not have
there.
been on my bingo.
Right.
Uh, but it also like the movie plays it so straight that you're just like, yeah, this doll would sing you a song, a lullaby.
Yeah.
And
That specific song.
do these, well, here's the thing. This is Katie. Katie's one of these TikTok kids.
Right.
I mean, maybe not in the movie, but like in this day and age, these kids are watching videos on TikTok. These are the songs that you hear on TikTok.
If TikTok gets banned, she will be on whatever the next
For
thing
sure.
is. Right?
Yeah. And so like that probably would be the song that like
Yeah.
comforts her,
Yeah.
right? And Megan would know that because
She's
she knows what she likes.
she has magic tech powers.
She does. Um, it was just so fucking funny. That she also plays Toy Soldiers on the
first one?
piano. No,
Oh,
on the
yeah,
piano at the end of the
yeah.
movie. I recognize that as like the Eminem song,
Mm-hmm.
which I guess samples the original Toy Soldiers from like the 80s.
Oh, interesting.
I didn't know that until like I was
Right.
looking into this movie. But very, 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 very good. Um, anything else? What else? Third act, I think, is probably the thing where we
Yeah.
do this, right? Because then the end of the second act is where like Megan gets taken away from Katie.
Right.
Because she's like, no, she is like fucking things up. She pulls the thing where she's like, look at the pen, and like shuts her off.
Yeah.
But even after she's shut off, she's able to
She's
like
conscious. She knows.
yeah, she knows something is up. She's able to like infiltrate the security system at the company.
So I'll say the cops are dumb in this movie. I think that's where they're a bit too dumb.
I love the one cop that like laughs at the kid dying.
Yeah. He's like, didn't we interview you yesterday? And I'm like, all right, there's enough here to draw suspicion. Actually, as soon as you realize that this doll is hyperactive, I mean,
Yeah.
I know there's whatever kind of irony, dramatic
Well, here's the thing. Like, I don't think they know that the doll is like sentient. He
Right.
just goes, "Oh yeah, it's her doll,"
Yeah.
and that's it. Like, so I mean, you have American Girl dolls that are like big.
Big.
So maybe she's like, "Oh, this is like a supersized American
Big.
Girl doll."
Yeah, fair enough.
So that's where I like, okay, I could suspend that disbelief
Yeah.
without like stretching too far.
Yeah.
Um, then we get the Ronnie Chang death scene,
Right, Shane, that scene.
which is the famous TikTok dance,
Yes.
which I don't care.
Excellent.
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 It's goofy. It's fun.
Yeah, that's in the trailer.
In the trailer,
Yeah.
it's the dance that like all the marketing does.
I like that. It's a kill with the paper. With the paper.
Yeah, a thing that I fucking hate.
Me too. I'm bad at them.
I'm okay at it, but I'm always like, these things are dangerous.
I thought it was actually very interesting that so when Megan re-enters the house,
Mhm.
her initial plan is to let Gemma live, and then like
Yes.
lobotomize her or whatever.
Yeah.
But because she's like, oh, I know that this would fuck up Katie, and that I have no other commentary other than I thought that was like very interesting villain motivation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and she does, for better or worse, Megan has Katie's best interest at heart.
And that's so that dovetails nicely with the fact that, like we said earlier, all the kills. I would say the least justified kill is like the neighbor because the neighbor just wanted her dog back.
Yeah.
Right. I feel bad. I feel bad for the neighbor. But like the kid had it coming, the dog kind of had it coming.
The neighbor
The
was
neighbor was
neglectful
annoying. Yeah,
and a little like nosy, but she wasn't malicious.
correct.
Like she just seemed like she was like a mid dog owner who just wasn't like didn't want to like leash her dog.
Yeah,
That doesn't put you on the naughty list necessarily, but
but not on the nice
whatever,
list,
right?
But the fact that that all her kills are somewhat justified, and the fact that
I will say the
yeah,
scariest kill in this is when she kills, I think his name is Kurt,
the assistant,
the assistant, because uh, it's either Kurt or Cole.
yeah,
Um,
but
it is Kurt.
he's stealing company
He's
secrets.
stealing company secrets and like sending them, or ideally, he would be sending them to like a different company
Hasbro.
to. Is it? Does he say Hasbro?
I don't know if he's sending them to Hasbro, but Ronnie Chang says we're going to kick Hasbro's ass.
Oh yeah, he
Yeah.
does. But like he feels like he's underappreciated
Mm-hmm.
and
He's
whatever.
watched porn at work before.
He's watched porn at work before.
Yeah.
Like he said, you're watching Pornhub again. And like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, the way she like comes up to him, she's like, "Oh, here's what's gonna happen. You were stealing company secrets.
Mm-hmm.
He found out,
Mm-hmm.
and then when you realize you killed him, you killed yourself."
Yeah.
And she fucking kills him, and I'm like, "Damn,
Yeah.
Megan, you scary.
Megan, you scary.
Megan, you scary."
And the fact that she wants to be like a good parent, like, makes her scarier.
Exactly, because like all these things, she's like, "You don't want to take care of Katie. You're
Yeah.
pawning her off to me. So let me take care of the parenting, and you just kill."
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Megan for parent of 2023.
Yeah.
You know, I'd be okay with that.
Which is where, when it gets to sequel, and it's obviously teased at the end.
Yes.
The AI. I'm very curious as to where the movie can and will go. And that's why I'd like for them to wait a little while. To like just let the environment in the world breathe a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
So now that we're getting to the end of the movie, this movie's making so much fucking money, dude.
Good.
This movie made $30 million on a $12 million budget.
Good.
That right there recuperates marketing, the budget of the movie, and then some. And it's only the first weekend. It's getting pretty good word of mouth, so I'm assuming next weekend we'll
Because a
not
lot of
see a
people
big
are
drop.
surprised that this is not just like schlocky goofy, that it's good.
Exactly. So here's the thing. I know you didn't love Malignant,
Mm-hmm.
but this is the same writing duo.
Yes, the
basically.
same writer did both.
It's the exact same writer. I do want to shout her out. Akila Cooper,
Mm-hmm.
who is a black woman. She's the one who wrote the screenplay, and she also has story credit, which she did not have story credit in *Malignant*.
Interesting.
So the story was made by her and James Wan, and then she did the screenplay. In *Malignant*, it was James Wan and his wife did the story. She did the screenplay.
Mm.
But still, like it's the fact that she's willing to, and then they are all willing to like go weird with these movies. It's
Yeah,
like
it's good.
say what you will about *Malignant*, that
I didn't
movie
like
is
the aesthetics of that movie.
that movie is fucking
It is
insane.
insane. I didn't like the aesthetics of this movie. This movie has like opposite aesthetics
Yeah.
that I love.
Okay.
So yeah.
Interesting.
Um, so no, I'm all for these writers.
Yeah.
Um,
And honestly, like I think the fact that Blumhouse and Atomic Robot, which is James Wan's company, are merging, like I'm down for that.
yeah,
And I think if this is what she's been able to do with her like two movies, she also did a movie called Hellfest, which you have actually shown somewhat interest in concept alone,
mm.
where you said, why don't more horror movies take place in amusement parks?
Ah,
Hellfest is a movie that takes place in an amusement park,
very nice.
like during like a Halloween Horror Nights type of thing.
I'm for this concept.
Um, so like she made that, and now she made these two movies. And if she is on board to make more, fuck it, why
Good for
not?
her.
I'll watch whatever.
Good for her.
Um, but I also really I like the concept of the Megan doll. Like I just think she's so recognizable.
Yeah,
I feel like if I show this to like Katie's parents, like, have you seen this? They'd probably be like, I've seen it.
I
They may not
had.
know what it
So
is.
no one on Instagram ever interacts with my like, posting my letterbox.
Hmm.
I had two people of like one was a millennial, one was my coworker,
Interesting.
right? Both of them like commented on that post,
Oh, really?
right? So people of very different age demographics
Yeah.
were aware of
Um,
this.
Jason Blum, who's the guy who runs
Blumhouse.
Blumhouse, uh, was he purposely did what he could to like shout out like the younger people
Yeah.
because so my understanding for this movie is the original movie that they shot was R,
Hmm.
but it was like just barely.
Hmm.
They were like, well, does it need to be R?
A lot of people are asking for a director's cut. They want to see the full on.
I guess, but that's not how you grow
Yes,
audiences.
I agree.
If you think about the big boom in like the mid like 2010s,
Hmm.
a lot of that is thanks to Insidious,
Hmm.
which is another Blumhouse movie, which is also PG-13.
I didn't realize it.
Insidious is an insanely scary movie.
I think this movie should be rated R.
I think sequels could benefit from being R
Yeah.
because now that we have this crazy concept, push the concept.
Yeah.
Like if you have another movie and you don't go harder and crazier, you're going to start losing steam.
Right.
But I think having the movie be PG-13 is a good entry point for younger audiences because
Yeah.
that's where you grow your new. You're not going to turn an older person who is not into horror into horror.
Well, this is what I was thinking during this movie. I was like, I would love because usually I do Frankenstein as a choice read with my seniors.
Hmm.
And I debated on making it a choice read or mandatory this year. But anyway, I was like, oh, this would pair very well with Frankenstein. How much of it can I get away with showing where they would get the concepts, but I also wouldn't cross
There.
any lines
Okay.
with the school, right?
Sure.
And the fact that it was PG-13, I will say, really helped me in my decision making. That I'm like, I
Frankenstein?
could this
Oh, Megan, gotcha.
Megan that I could show something
Hmm.
like from this movie because I could be like, wasn't rated R with PG-13, right? And I would say the first like 20 minutes ish, I think you can show to a high school audience.
100%. You can show this whole
Or
movie to a
it
high
would
school
be, you
audience.
can't show this whole movie to a high school audience.
Oh, come on.
And not in school.
Oh, okay.
Not in school. Out of school, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, they've seen worse.
Yeah, for
Right.
sure.
But there's enough unsettling, there's enough like critique of the tech before it gets like actually physically violent, where
Yeah.
I think you could show in a classroom.
Okay.
But to your point, I think that yes, this movie does thread the needle very well on being able to cater to
Hmm.
that younger audience and then build a
While not isolating the older audience.
exactly.
Like you think about now the millennials are in like their 30s and 40s.
Yeah.
So like having these little jabs at us make us go, oh shit, this movie's about us.
Yeah.
While then having like the little zoomers and I'm assuming going back to school, I'm gonna have some of my kids tell me, "Did you watch Megan? I watch Megan. It's my favorite movie."
Yeah,
Because children are like that.
they
The
are.
newest movie they watch is their favorite movie ever.
They are.
I can guarantee at least half of my kids probably saw this movie.
You fifth graders?
My fifth graders.
Yeah, they see these
They
movies
see
at
these
that age.
movies.
Yeah,
And worse. And the fact that it's PG-13
helps.
helps so much.
Yeah.
But like we said, I am 100% down for more of this. I don't think they can do the end of this movie again. Like the next movie cannot end with like a robot fighting Megan again, because this movie ends
Mm,
with Bruce, like we said,
right. Deus Ex Bruce. Oh no,
Deus
not
Ex.
Deus Ex Bruce.
It's
Chekhov's Bruce.
Chekhov's
Chekhov's Bruce.
Bruce.
Right.
Um, you know, that was satisfying enough, though. I enjoyed the fight scene. I like her getting split in half,
Yeah.
and I like that she gets messed up.
Yes.
Yeah, she gets
The
fucked. She gets
monster. The
scalped.
monster is revealed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is like frightening enough. Like you see her when they're putting her together, she looks
Well, and that's the
fucking
thing. When
scary.
people wanted more gore, I was like, I really don't think it needed it.
It
Like,
didn't. That's what I'm saying. That's why I think this movie works so well as a PG-13.
that scene of just pulling off the boy's ear alone
What's
was
enough?
unsettling enough.
Yeah.
The threat to just like cut his wrist open with like the paper the paper cutter, right? But that's how it implies that he killed himself, right? Because she's
I think
holding up.
he sliced his neck
Okay,
because
yeah,
she puts the
sure.
blade up to his neck
But
and
she is
then
holding
it
up his
cuts.
forearm. Yeah, so to give it to him to slice his neck. You're
Yeah,
right. You're right.
she has his hand like on the
Yeah,
blade,
yeah.
and then he cuts his
That's
neck.
his neck. Yeah. So okay, that's unsettling enough. I'm not saying like more gore would have made me like dislike this movie more, but I don't think
Mm-mm.
it needed it at all.
And honestly, that's the biggest difference between an R rating and the PG-13. Like, it's how much
How
of
much
that
more?
gore you're willing to show. And I think this movie is better for showing less.
Do they say fuck?
Once
Yeah,
the boy,
the
where
boy.
he's
Yeah.
like, "Shut the fuck up, Holly."
Duh. Okay. Sure.
It- so I'm very very much looking forward to this movie. I think it's going to find itself. I don't even want to say it's going to be a cult classic because this movie is very popular.
Popular enough.
So I don't think this is going to be a cult classic
Mm.
situation. I just think people are going to gravitate towards this movie a lot.
Blumhouse doing good things.
I am here for all the Megan costumes I'm gonna see at like Comic Cons. I'm gonna see at Halloween.
That'll be impressive. It'll be a January movie, and it'll get a lot of Halloween clout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever see the Jason Blum dressed up as Megan?
No.
He dressed up as Megan for Halloween.
That's awesome.
And so yeah, there he is.
This year's Halloween.
Yeah, this year.
Good for
They
him.
did makeup and he went with like other girls dressed up as Megan. Um, but yeah, and good for them for knowing the type of movie they have and leaning into it.
Yeah.
Like all the promotional material was like, if you interacted with her on like Twitter, she would like DM you back, be like, "Hey, bestie."
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so I think this is a very smart move on their half, and I think if they keep it up, they might be able to play some big ball
Big ball.
because that's what they need. They have a lot of good movies under their belt already. Like I said, that I think when we were talking about A24 versus Blumhouse,
Mm-hmm.
like as far as like a studio that piques my interest now,
Blumhouse is
I
ascendant.
think Blumhouse is kind of surpassing now
Yeah.
as far as like concepts and delivery.
Mm.
So, all right. Are there anything else?
No.
No.
Great film. Go see it.
Great film. Go see it. On that note, this is our last recording for a bit.
For winter break.
Yeah, for winter break.
Yeah.
I don't want to go to work tomorrow.
Me neither. It's all right. We'll
Damn.
manage.
All right. Probably the next movie we'll talk about would be if we watch that.
That Shutter thing you want me to watch?
Oh, that one. Yeah, Lake Mungo. If you watch that, and if you watch the Peacock movie,
Okay.
I think we could have two of those.
Neat.
Yeah. Um, Actually, we could talk about maybe. We'll figure it out. All right. All right, everybody. Until next time, this has been the Cine-Scoots podcast. He is Stano.
He's Javier.
And see you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.